Hey guys, welcome to the Erie Side Podcast with your hosts Elena
D.
And Sophia.
We appreciate you guys listening, and I hope you're ready to get on the Erie side. All right, Mom. I hear you have a case for us today.
Yes. Today we're going to talk about Jacqueline Elaine Nix. She was born on December 17, 1980, and her parents were Becky and Dave Nix. She also had an older brother. Her parents remember her as a firecracker, feisty, and she could get mad at you, they said. But she'd get over it pretty quick, within the hour or by the next day. One of the things about Elaine we should remember is she loved frogs, and they had frogs everywhere. Elaine also had a friend, Jennifer Boyd. They were friends since 13 years old and from 6th grade. Jennifer remembers her that they were inseparable and they did everything together, like sleepovers, laughing, gossiping, and singing.
Wait, you said she had frogs everything. Like, what do you mean frogs?
She loved frogs, so she had frog necklaces, jewelry, stuffed toys, anything that she can get frogs, even keychains.
Did she have like real frogs too?
Not that I'm aware of.
And this best friend of hers, what was her name? Jennifer Boyd? Okay.
And just so you know that everybody remembers her as being a happy person. One thing about Elaine that Jennifer remembers was that she also thought she was quite a spitfire in a small package. Elaine was only 5'2" and around 100 pounds. She was silly, bubbly, and outspoken. They said that she was fun-loving and spunky little lady. It just seemed like she was very outgoing and happy to be around.
Yeah, it seemed like she had a big personality in a tiny little package.
Yeah, they used to call her a little ball of dynamite.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
They said she was very charismatic. She would walk into a room and it would light up, and she didn't even have to say anything. One of the things about Elaine was she didn't hold grudges against anybody, and she never would talk bad about anybody. Now, when Elaine was a teenager, she struggled and ended up dropping out of high school.
Wait, like, what do you mean she struggled? Like, what do you mean?
She struggled with school.
Okay.
And unfortunately, she was also had a history of running away from home.
Okay.
And
Do you know like what the history was there with like her running away? Like, what was going on?
I wish I did. I looked it up as much as I could. I did my research, and I also reached out to her family, but I didn't hear back. So I'm not sure. I mean, she was a teenager, and she was going through some rough times. I'm not sure what they were. However, she didn't go away for far. She did come home after a while. So even though she would run away, she didn't disappear for good.
How quickly would you say she would come back after each time she ran away?
Well, let me get on to the story. I think you'd see that her parents were concerned after a certain amount of time. So
Okay.
they didn't, after some time, they were a little concerned. So
Okay.
I would say probably a week or so they would find out about her.
All right.
Okay.
Now, one evening she went to church with her father, and she had some kind of epiphany that night. She realized that God loved her and would forgive her for all the things she had done. So that night she came home very overjoyed and told her mother the good news. And she had decided to change her life. She was starting to take responsibility of her life and was making plans for the future. She had made a decision that she would become a nurse.
So she had like an epiphany in church, and so she decided to really start changing her life around. Do you know what her religion was prior to that, or if she identified with any religion before her epiphany?
I am not sure what her religion was. All I know is she went to church that night.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, at this point, Elaine has also not stopped going to high school, so she is considered a dropout.
Do you know like what year she dropped out in? I don't know if you said that.
I am not sure what year she dropped out, but I know when the story takes place, which is 1991, she had dropped out.
Okay.
But she was going, like, she had plans to go and become a nurse at that
Yeah,
point. Okay.
she was considering going back to school.
Yeah.
Now, at this point, Elaine's family originally lived in Gainesville, Georgia, and she was 18 years old in 1991. And just so you remember, she likes going by the name Elaine.
Mm-hmm.
She was working as a hostess at the Up the Creek restaurant, and she was known as responsible employee, which was good because that way they also knew that she was really looking to change her life. Elaine had a boyfriend. His name was Bill Millwood, who was also 18 at this point. They had the kind of relationship where they would date for a while and then break up and then date again. They had been dating since high school. Now, Elaine loved to talk to Billy every day. However, back then, if you guys remember the landlines, it became very costly for them to be talking every day because Billy lived 30 miles away in Cleveland, Georgia.
Mm.
So her mother told her that she was not allowed to call, and she had somehow blocked his number, so he couldn't call either.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I definitely do not remember ever having to think about how far somebody was when calling.
Yeah, it was a different time. It wasn't now with the mobile phones. So Elaine had to get resourceful, and she found a public phone in Zach's food rack, and that wasn't very far from her house. And she would call Billy there for only a quarter or 35 cents, and it was for unlimited time. Now, this place was also popular for semi-truck drivers as well, so they could go and put in some shut-eye. Now, the couple had a routine. They would call around 11 p.m., and they would talk for about an hour, and then she would drive home. The night of Sunday, September 20th, Elaine was a little under the weather, and she woke up and she was going to help her mother with dinner. She received a message on a pager because that's how she was communicating with him because they couldn't on the phone. And he had put on the pager a message of FUB. Now, she was very upset that, Billy did that on her pager.
Right. And that just stands for like FUB word, right? Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. And she got really upset, and she went to Zach's food rack to talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, by the time she went there, Zach's was closed, but Elaine did call with Billy for about an hour. So the next day, her mother realized that Elaine hadn't come home, but she didn't get alarmed. Since Elaine was fiercely independent and had a tendency of running away, her mom didn't worry about it and thought maybe that she had gone to Millwood or his friend or for friends at a few days at a time, because she would do that. However, her mother realized something was wrong because she didn't show up for her shift at the restaurant. Her parents,
She had a shift at the restaurant like the next day?
yeah, she had a shift at the restaurant the next day, and she didn't show up.
I don't know if you're going to get into this, but do we by any chance know what they had talked about in the phone call?
Billy said they had talked about getting together and going on a little vacation and seeing each other.
Oh, okay.
It just seemed like they made up whatever, got Billy upset to send that to her. They had made up and had decided they're going to see together and go to some little trip.
Okay.
Okay, got it.
So her parents decided that maybe they should search for her, and they stumbled upon her car at Zach's. And it was right next to the payphone. Now, they got in, and they noticed that the keys were in the ignition, and they cracked it, and they thought, well, it's working, because they thought maybe she had ran out of gas or something. They looked, they said, no, she's got gas. They noticed that Elaine's purse was still in the back seat, and a pack of Marlboro Lights was sitting on the passenger seat. Now, it is also said that maybe it was in the back seat. I'm not sure. But her mother thought that was very peculiar because she smoked and she wouldn't leave her cigarettes in the car. Mm-hmm. The only thing her mother noticed was missing was her address book, because back then that's what people had with them, was their address book. So her mother got out of the car, went to the convenience clerk that was in Zach's and asked, when did the car get here? And the clerk said, well, when I came in this morning, the car was parked there. So it had been there overnight. So her mother didn't think anything of it, didn't understand. And so she took the car home and was wondering what happened to Elaine. When she got home, though, she got some sickening feeling that something was very wrong with her. They called Billy to see if he had overheard anything about where Elaine was going, but he said no, that when they finished talking, she said she was going to head home.
Mm. So this Zach's Food Mart, it's called?
Zach's, yes.
Zach's, is it, like, where is it? Is it like in the middle of nowhere, or is it on like a busy street, or?
I don't know like exactly, but it's only like 2.5 miles from her home.
Okay.
And it could be, I'm not sure if it's on a very busy street.
I wonder if it's by like a highway or highway exit, because trucks did go to, park there and get some sleep.
It is off a highway exit.
Okay.
And at the end, that is something that comes up about it being at a highway exit.
Okay.
So Elaine's parents decided to call the whole county police department. They told her that it was too early to file a missing person report because a certain amount of time had not passed. But the officer did offer to give her a case number. Now, this was Sunday, so now this is Tuesday on September 22nd. The police said enough time had passed and decided to investigate missing case of Elaine because she was still missing by Tuesday. The police then realized that at 2 a.m. the Sunday, which was then Monday morning, the day that Elaine went missing, an officer had stopped at the convenience store and noticed that her car, which was a dark blue 1986 Toyota Celica, was parked next to the payphone, exactly where her parents found it.
Mm-hmm.
The officer noted that the car window was rolled down and the key was still in the ignition, but there was nobody there. He didn't think anything of it. He also noticed that the engine was off, but the car was still a little warm. So the police then decided that maybe it's a good idea to set up roadblocks and start talking to drivers who were coming in and out to figure out, if they knew anything about Elaine.
So that was like 2 days later.
Yeah.
They realized that the cop had seen that, and then 2 days later, that's when they're like, okay,
Yeah.
maybe we should set up roadblocks.
Yeah, they decided to set up roadblocks.
It's a little
2
bit
days.
late to be setting up roadblocks 2 days later.
I agree, but that's what they decided to do.
It's also interesting that her key was in the ignition, but the car was turned off, but it was still warm.
Right, which probably meant that it had been turned not too long.
I feel like
by the time the policeman came, that's a couple hours probably.
Yeah, and if she's talking to Billy, I mean, she would probably have the car turned off, wouldn't she?
I would think so.
Did the police officer did the officer just like assume like the person had like left and used the restroom or something like that?
Zach's was closed, so he didn't know why it was left there. He had no idea. He just noticed that it was left there. He didn't think anything of it for some reason.
So she couldn't even be using like the bathroom or anything like that?
No, it was closed. So it wasn't open. So at this point, they decided to also interview her friends. And unfortunately, since Elaine had a trouble past of running away, they treated the case as a runaway and that she was troubled. Now, her mother says Elaine did make mistakes from the time she was 15 to 18, but those are her teenage years.
Yeah.
And she's very unhappy how the police treated her case. One officer suggested that Elaine ran away to become a stripper or probably ran away off to Florida with friends. The police had already formed their theory of what had happened. Police also seemed to have no sense of urgency to find Elaine, and that's how her family felt about it.
But it's like, even though she had run away in the past, it seemed like it had been too long based on how long she had run away before.
Yeah, the way she disappeared this time, her family knew was different than the other time. So her family
she missed work.
Yeah, she missed work.
And her car was just left there.
Right. Her family was concerned because this is not how, she would. And they knew that she'd go to some friends and, she wasn't in any friend's house. So,
Yeah.
so her parents decided, that they were going to create handwritten missing person flyers and post them at the stop signs near the store and every pole they could or find along the way. Now, this is interesting. As quickly as they were posting the flyers, they were being ripped down.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Yes, and doesn't seem like anyone knows who was ripping them down. Her family had set up searches.
Why would
for
you
her
rip
too.
down flyers,
Right.
If you're not somehow like, I don't know, related to.
And it doesn't seem like anyone would like really hate her to want like, yeah, I just think it.
Yeah, I don't think anyone like hated her. I just think that it has something to do with the story.
Yeah.
Her family also set up searches for her. They went up and down the streets and looked and went into areas, and they didn't find anything actually.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is interesting. The convenience store had tapes, and the police did secure the tapes. And the tapes were only in the front of the store. The only thing the video footage shows as far as the police is allowing information to come out was there was a small pickup that pulled up into the store when Elaine was on the phone with Billy.
Do we know it pulled up into the parking lot?
Mm-hmm. And now remember, Zach's was closed.
Do we know any more information? Like, did it go where Elaine's car was? Did it go to the opposite side of the parking lot? Like anything?
All I know that it seems like the way the camera was, they couldn't see much.
Okay, so we don't even know where the camera was positioned to see the truck in relation to Elaine's
that's all
car.
they were able. Right. So it's because of the way the camera was, they don't appear to be able to see much.
Okay.
So and that's all as far as the pickup truck. So I don't know what that has to do with them trying to solve it, if they just didn't give them information or they're just not really releasing the information.
Was where the pickup truck was like located, were they able to see anyone get out, or like was it covered, or just they haven't released that?
They have not released that, but I don't think they were able to see much.
Okay.
Now Wednesday rolls around and Elaine would have to go back to work to pick up her check and didn't. So they really were concerned because they knew something was wrong, because she always did that. Now, this is interesting. The police had scent dogs at the convenience store. However, they didn't pick up anything.
Interesting.
Her mother was hopeful that she was still alive and maybe, staying somewhere. She still had that hope.
Yeah.
On September 29th, which was 9 days after her disappearance, a person was cutting the grass and found a body in the woods near Buford Industrial Park. Elaine's body was what he found. It was naked and badly decomposed.
Wait, it was found in the woods. Wait, what were the woods called?
Buford Industrial Park.
Okay, is that like a public park?
It's an industrial park, and it's 17 miles away from the Payphone.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Elaine's body was naked, like I said, badly decomposed, and lying just inside the tree line. She had been killed and just dumped there. Now, if this gentleman had not been there cutting the grass, she would not have been found.
So he was cutting the grass like was a worker for the park.
Yes, and he was cutting the grass. Now, Elaine was curled up in a fetal position. They know that she wasn't shot, she wasn't stabbed, and she had no drugs in her. So what they're thinking, that it was either asphyxiation or suffocation. Because of the decomposition, Elaine had to be identified by her dental records and what remained of her frog tattoo.
She had a frog tattoo.
On her ankle.
So how long had she been gone total?
9 days.
And she was so badly decomposed within those 9 days?
Yes, we're in Georgia and it's still
the heat,
September in the heat. So
okay, that makes more sense.
Right. She also had a butterfly tattoo on her lower back, and that helped identify her.
Okay.
Now, she was nude, but they had her jewelry on and a black beaded necklace that was around her neck and a promise ring that Millwood had given her.
The who?
Billy.
Billy, okay.
Her clothes were never found.
Oh, that's interesting.
A murder investigation was open, And the police say they think that she had been dead between 6 to 9 days. And the cause of death is undetermined. There's a lack of leads, and the evidence led to the case it ran cold within a few years. To date, no arrest has happened, and Elaine killer may still be on the loose. The police theory is that either a trucker or factory worker abducted and killed Elaine. The reason they think this is since Zach's was a place that the truckers and employees from factories and warehouses which worked in Beaufort but lived in Gainesville. Now,
so they're saying people worked in where?
Worked in Beaufort.
But they lived in Gainesville?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And because of the area they found her, they definitely think that the person knew the area well.
Yeah.
Where they found her, because it's not an area that people would know.
Well, and that makes more sense considering somebody was taking down posters of her.
It could be someone was in Gainesville and you saw the posters start taking them down. Correct.
Also, you said like she wouldn't have been found if it wasn't for that guy. So it makes sense that like they would someone would put her there to like hide her and hopefully not have her be found as soon like to hold it off as long as possible.
As long as possible,
Yeah.
right. So it is, they are thinking it is somewhere in the area.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
Her mother, Becky, said that she's thinking of exhuming her body because of the advancements in technology since her death. But other than that, they don't seem to have much forensic signs on her.
Can they determine if she like was or was not sexually assaulted, or they can't say for sure?
That was never mentioned at all.
I wonder if they're also like keeping some information for themselves in case, something that the public doesn't know. So if anything were to happen, they'd be able to solve it because that's a detail not released to the public.
Right. It sounds like this is a case that someone has to speak up.
Oh.
Someone who knew something or knew someone or heard something. And actually, if you do have any information on Elaine, you can call the Gwinnett County Police Department at 770-513-5300 because it seems like it's a story that there isn't much information on, and science doesn't seem like it's going to help much since she was so deeply decomposed.
Yeah, that's like really interesting. So we know that she was murdered. Well, we don't know her cause of death, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's safe to say she was. Yeah. I mean, did they rule it as a homicide?
Yes,
Okay,
it is considered homicide. Billy has not seen as a suspect at all. He was not anywhere near. And he's had a very rough life since then, too. He's been in and out of jail, unfortunately. But, for whatever reason, the police don't have him as a suspect.
Okay.
He was supposedly even like an hour or so away, too,
Yeah,
right?
he's pretty far away.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I'm not really sure they had any suspect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They seem not to, and everybody waited a little too long. I don't think her parents did, but I mean, the policeman with the car, and then they waited. I think back then it was 48 hours, which is ridiculous. So there is one mistake after another with this unfortunate story.
Well, and I also wonder, I mean, so many thoughts going in my mind right now. One is, so they see this truck, it's like pickup truck. I mean, how big is Gainesville, Georgia, for them to maybe even narrow down the search pool just based off of the truck alone?
Well, Gainesville, Georgia is about 40-some thousand people, so it's not little. And it's also known as the chicken capital in the world because they do a lot of chicken. They don't grow them. They
Farm them?
No. They kill them.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Okay.
They're processed there, and it's that.
Oh, okay. See, 40,000, like, that's not a small town, but that's still, I don't know, maybe there's a lot of trucks in Gainesville, Georgia. But
Well, yeah, if you're coming and getting chickens and shipping them all over the United States, I would think it is a big place. People, truckers do come through there.
Well, and I mean, a pickup truck, I guess I wouldn't even call that a trucker, That's
No, the pickup truck is not a trucker.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be just
But if they do like, have chicken, I don't know what you call them, factories or whatever down there, then I'm sure that
slaughterhouses.
slaughterhouses. Yeah, I'm sure that population probably has like a lot of trucks doing that sort of work.
Yeah. But it seems
Pickup trucks. I should
they
say.
do think that it's someone who lives in Gainesville. So I wonder if it was a crime of opportunity or someone goes to Zach's and has been watching Elaine, going and talking around 11 o'clock at night. So
Wait, did she always go to Zach's that late at night?
yeah,
She did.
It was every day at 11 o'clock she'd go and talk.
Oh no, that's so consistent.
That's very
Yeah.
consistent. They never said she'd miss a night or anything. After her
Yeah.
mother told her she can't call for home. Yeah.
That's a routine.
Yeah, and her crime is like so, like brutal in the sense that why would somebody? I mean, if somebody does this to her, I would imagine they'd want to do this to other people as well if they have this sort of maliciousness in them.
Unless they're just like, unless something happened and the person got really angry at her.
That's true. Maybe
True.
she
She like rejected somebody.
yeah,
She had a stalker or something.
I mean, unfortunately, you don't really know what really happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if it is somebody who was like watching her, following her, knew her routine, I mean, I guess I can see them doing this to her and potentially not even doing this to someone else if they really became so obsessed with her and her alone, and they've somehow managed to like not keep doing this to other people.
You know what I'm wondering?
What?
I'm wondering if the police decided to watch Zach's after the murder and see if any blue pickup truck came back.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
yeah, but I doubt that this was like a crime of like opportunity, because like a lot of like, I know like a lot of cases like this, like disappearances, murders, like it's opportunistic, like murders and disappearances are very rare. So I wonder if the person ever returned back there, because I mean, if the person was smart, I mean, they would want to avoid going back to the scene of the crime because that could incriminate them. So I mean, I doubt it, but like at the same time, it's not like off the table.
Well, and it's not like they had a big truck. If it's like a pickup truck, which
Right.
makes it sound less like somebody who's passing through, and they knew where to dump her. It sounds like that's like a very specific area. Somebody's taking down posters in the town. Like that's weird in and of itself. Like, why would you do that?
Was there any other like deaths or murders in the town after her that were like suspicious or weird, or nothing?
I didn't see anything.
Okay.
And it's interesting. This wasn't covered by many places except for Atlanta, that area. And they talk about this story, I mean, after so many years too, but nothing about anyone else missing or anything. Now, if it is, I mean, it all
They're
depends.
not being connected then.
Yeah, I don't know if
Yeah.
the police have not connected or they just,
And like considering she, of course, the police hasn't necessarily said if she was sexually assaulted or not. It makes you wonder, like the motive. Like it's not like before she was killed. It doesn't seem like she was tortured much, except for her actual killing, which you could definitely say was torture. So then it's like, why would somebody do this? Like, what's the motive for even doing this? Like, was it rage? Did she like turn somebody down?
It could have been that. I mean, it could have been for sure. Like, I know it says rare, but like an opportunistic kill where the person saw her, thought she was pretty interested in her, went up to her, tried to like ask her to go out, and she rejected the person, and out of a fit of rage, he killed her.
And she worked at, what kind of restaurant did she work at?
it was just a sit down. I don't think it was anything.
Okay.
Because she was a waitress, so, a sit down.
Okay. I'm sure there's people there she could
Was
have
it-
met too.
Yeah, was it kind of like a bar and grill kind of, or do you not know?
I do not know, and I don't even think it's open now.
Okay.
I know Zach's isn't open.
Okay.
It's something else at this point. I do not know. It's an interesting story. The police don't say much. The newspapers, as far as the details, don't say much. I think the police lost those 48 hours and then some, and a lot of stuff was lost. And I don't know if they asked people. I mean, once they decided that she was a runaway,
Yeah.
and then they had their little story of what she was running away to do,
Yeah.
I think they lost the opportunity to ask people the right questions and all that. I mean,
Yeah.
if you don't start asking people questions and finding out where they were and all that, if you're just saying, oh, she's a runaway, then, you know, you're believing what the other person is telling you because you think she just ran away to be a stripper. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
She never had run away to be a stripper. So I find that, you know, why are they forming stories? Just try to find out what's going on.
I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not surprised that they formed that story, like given her history. Like, I don't think that's right at all, or they should even make those sorts of assumptions because you'd never know in a situation. But it's like disappointing, but not surprising that they would assume that she just ran away to be a stripper. Like, didn't even
Yeah.
give her a chance, and then like they lost time by doing that.
This is what I don't understand. I mean, she is a teenager. Teenagers are supposed to make mistakes and do things.
Yeah.
Why were they judging her? I mean, let's just find her. Her parents were saying this was weird, that they
Yeah.
knew she was a runaway. I mean, they didn't even hide it.
Yeah, they were honest about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also was wondering, they don't know how long she was dead, right? Because her body was so decomposed. Yeah.
So there's like she could have died the day she was kidnapped, or like 3 days
Right.
later, right?
Yeah.
See, so that's also interesting, and it also makes you wonder, like, where are her clothes? You know,
Yes.
somebody throw them away or keep them, and like
Burn
why?
them, something. Yeah.
You know,
Ooh, what if they kept them as a trophy?
Yeah.
That's
That's what I
what
was
I was
saying.
thinking.
I was
Wow.
thinking, yeah.
Someone's
You know.
opening their trunk and find some clothes that their husband has or boyfriend has. That is interesting.
yeah. Well, I hope the police has more than they've said, and yeah, Elaine just seemed like a really like fun, feisty,
Normal.
Mm-hmm.
cool like chick. Like, she had like frogs, and she wasn't afraid to like show off like her frog collection. She even had a frog tattoo. She just seemed like she was like a small little like fun person to be around. And like, what's so sad too is that she also had just turned around her life and was like, she had so many like exciting things to look forward to in the future, and then like this completely happened and like destroyed that for her. So I don't know, it's just like so sad. She seemed like she had so much going for her.
You know, how old was she? Was she, because she was still under 18, right?
No, she was 18.
Oh, she was
when this
18.
happened, she was 18. Yeah.
Okay,
She
because
was
I
close to being 19. Actually.
okay, I just pulled up pictures, just to look at her, and she looks like
She's
young.
cute.
She's cute, and she looks younger than 18 too.
Yeah, she's youthful looking, but she's beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I know she's petite, and maybe that makes it. Someone thinks she's easier as a target, but
Yeah.
I think that's unfair.
And I wonder if someone thought like, maybe like she looked more childish than a teenager, and that was
Like an appeal, you're saying?
yeah, that made them.
Oh my gosh, that just gave me a completely different, like, what if, I don't know, I guess it's like if you think about people trying to take advantage of people, it's easier to take advantage of like children and
Yeah.
like, teenagers. So what if this like person, I mean, Elaine might have been somebody they killed, but they could still be hurting other like young girls when you think about it.
Yeah. I mean, she looks like if someone had shown me a picture and said this girl was 15 or something like that, I would believe it.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know what she looked like in person, you know, besides a picture, but if you told me she was 15, I would have no like problem believing that. So I can definitely see it as like maybe someone, I don't know, wanted like girls around that age and saw it. And I know opportunistic kills are rare, but you know, maybe the person had been watching her for a while, saw her go there every night, and think like this is a way to, I don't know, live out their like sick fantasies, with like young teenagers.
Well, and it's definitely something to think about, because if this person does have a pattern, it may not be somebody who's 18, 19, 20 and older, like girls who are like in their later teenage years, early 20s. It could be younger, because she does look so young. I guess it's something for the police to consider as they like try and solve this crime and see any other related cases.
They do have it as open and you
Good.
know have someone working on
Active.
it here and there. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is a cold case, but it's still open. It's not closed. Here's a theory. I mean, what if it's a friend she knew too?
True.
Yeah, I mean,
Someone did know she was there all the time at 11.
Mm-hmm.
So it could
did the
also be
family?
someone new.
I guess maybe not. But I was like, did her friends or family know of anyone who had a blue truck? I mean, that would be my first question.
I don't even know if the police asked these questions. But it just seems her family is very disappointed. They don't feel the police did enough work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, we're talking many years now.
Yeah. I also wouldn't be surprised if the person who did this, I mean, going off the theory that this is like not like out of she rejected this person and like just murdered her out of rage. Like if this was like a compulsion, like someone like a serial killer, someone who would have to do it again, I wouldn't be surprised if they moved out of the town. Even if they did, I mean, because I know there wasn't that much heat on it, but like if they had an urge to do it again, they might move out knowing that like if they did it again, then the heat would be on them. So I wouldn't be like shocked if the person moved out of the town, and that's why there's no further cases of anyone that's like similar to that because they.
Well, there was this, and I cannot remember. You guys probably have heard of this. I cannot remember the name of the case, but there's this girl. She was like running with her dog on like some trail path, and the dog like ran, I think, home, and like they ended up finding the girl and like murdered, and I think she was sexually assaulted. But the guy who did it, I think he was convicted, and he ended up being in the town and living there all these years that had gone by. And I don't know if he did that to one other girl. I may be wrong, but that was it. And I don't know. It kind of reminds me a little bit to this. Somebody could still be living there and not doing much other harmful activity to other people.
I mean, if this person still has her clothes, Elaine's clothes, maybe that could be a way for the person to like relive her murder and her death to kind of repress those urges or like quote unquote like satisfy them so that the person, I'm assuming it's a male, wouldn't have to do it again, but can still like have their urges.
There's another situation. What if someone walked in the restaurant and, she's bubbly, talkative, happy person, was talking to him, telling him about, and I'm making an assumption it's a him, that it was, she talks to Billy every night, So, it doesn't take long then to just sit there and watch and see that she is doing it.
Especially if it's like an older male, you may not think like,
anything of it.
Right. You may not think like, oh, the guy's interested in you. She might be like, oh yeah, like, my boyfriend and I, we talk every night at the payphone or whatever. And meanwhile, this guy or older guy might be like infatuated with women, maybe 15, 16. And although she's 18, she looks like what his obsession is. And then,
the older he'd be, the less like concerned she would be.
Right, because like if you're talking to like an old guy who's like even like thinking like someone who's like a grandpa kind of age, you think of it like it's just like talking to them, and you're like, oh yeah, like me and my friends we do this or something. You're not thinking anything bad.
At some point though, it would be hard for somebody that old to
do something. No, I know. I'm just saying,
they had like a weapon to subdue her.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like in general, like when you're talking to someone older, like you might have your guard down just because you're not thinking anything of it.
Don't forget, she was petite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yeah, I can see that.
It's interesting because due to the time, the year that this happened, it's different than now, and I do think they took it pretty slowly, and I do think that they missed an opportunity, and I don't think they asked. And here's my question: so many truckers would stop by and sleep there. Was there anyone there? Did anyone come by afterward? Did not anyone travel down that road? Did they not ask?
But that's the other thing. They said they saw a pickup truck there. Was that like the only truck there that night, or were there other
trucks?
That's
all they'd say.
It makes me wonder like what else was on the camera, and maybe they're keeping it private for a reason. I mean, I hope it's because they have stuff that they're hoping to use, but
Well, I know, I know the family did hire a private investigator, and other than he just thought also that person lived in the area, there wasn't much. But then the police, I don't think, is giving up much, and I don't even know if they really have much. I know, so I guess the best thing is, please everybody be careful and try to be safe. Whatever you want to do it, but just be safe.
we have a routine.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that too. Like, I feel like I always hear people say, like, with routines, like, shake it up a bit. Like, don't always do the same thing. Just because it risks people seeing that and being able to take advantage. Like I said, like, opportunistic kills and stuff are very rare. So if they see you, they can plan it, and then that's more, dangerous.
It's hard though. It's hard to change.
It is. But just keep that in mind. Like, if you do something the same time every day and you notice some person is staring at you every day, just keep that in mind. I think, like, beware.
Which
is
I
always
feel
a good
like
thing.
it's really hard if you're like a woman to I don't know, just like have freedom. I feel like anymore. It's like you're constantly a target.
That's true. I do think that Elaine and her parents did not feel that she was in any danger because she was doing this for so long.
Well, and also the town is like, I know it's not very small, but like 40,000 people. It's not like huge either. If you if they've grown up there, like both parents, I don't know, people start to feel comfortable, I guess.
Yeah, but you don't know everybody.
True.
And they have truckers coming in.
Yeah.
So, that's people who are not from the area.
Right.
But what if if they think this person lives in Gainesville, it's someone in her town.
Yeah.
It could also be like someone from out of town. I know they think it is, but like, it doesn't have to necessarily be a trucker too. I mean, people like it's like a truck stop, right? Like,
yeah, yes, it's a convenience store that's also a truck stop.
Yeah, I mean, like, think back, like, when we've been on road trips, like, we're just pulling up in our normal everyday car, but we'll stop at, like, truck stops or stuff like that. So I think it's possible people passing by to stop there, but not necessarily be truckers too. So then that's a whole nother group of people that are possible. I know, like, it is most likely still someone in the town, but that is something to think about.
Yeah, that's true. That's also another option. If they just happen to find the right place to dump her, and I don't know, maybe somebody's just ripping off posters because they were angry at her, but they didn't have anything to do with it.
I really find that hard to believe.
I do too. I think it's somebody who lives there.
And don't forget, this is not a big truck stop like you guys are used to seeing.
Right,
We're talking like a little convenience store.
True. That is true. It's not like a gas like like your typical
Gas station
7-Eleven.
trucks.
Yeah.
This is quite bigger. So this is what's smaller than what you guys are, we stop at. So,
well, I think Elaine's mother had a good idea about if she said she would like her body to be exhumed and tested. And I think that's definitely could be a really good start to solving this. But I don't, I guess the only other way would be is if anyone has any information, her family wants to find out what happens.
Yeah.
I am happy that they did find her and her family could put it arrested.
Right, at the very least, they could do,
Correct. But
some sort of answer.
At least she has like some piece, her body.
Right, but it's very sad for them because they're always wondering why and what happened and how. And they also feel like, the police didn't take them seriously. So,
yeah.
Especially if she did not die right away.
Yeah.
So.
Elaine and her family would like some more closure.
Well,
so if you know anything, please call.
All right, that is the death, murder of Elaine Nix. This is the Erie Side Podcast, signing off. Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye and be safe.